Hi Flosstube, how are you? I'm Jennifer. Welcome to my channel, Stitching with the Waves. Glad to have you back. If you've been watching me regularly, if you just found me, this is my channel where I talk about my cross stitch. So last week I was on vacation at the beach and I literally got to stitch with the waves down sitting next to the ocean. It's my happy place. Getting to sit there, listening to the waves, doing a little stitching, even for just a few minutes, was just bliss. I was so happy and it was just great. I'm so relaxed because of that and just really enjoyed my time and that break getting away. So it's been about 4 weeks since my last video, which is definitely longer than I want to go. Getting set up for a video and getting all the things together and showing you everything after 4 weeks is a lot more effort than if I'm making videos more often. So we'll see how that goes, but I would really like to get back to more like an every other week schedule so that I don't have quite so much in every video. So it's just a little bit more regular and often. So right after the last video that I made, we went to our local county fair. I took my 2 kids and we went out there one morning and the fair was great. It's not a very large fair at all. It's pretty small, but they have, it's run by the 4-H. They have all the animals and all the exhibits. We watched some of the horse competition. We watched a dog show that they had. We watched a magic show. We saw, just lots of different things. It was great. They rode some rides at the carnival and we saw all of the exhibits for the competition. So we saw a bunch of different tasty looking food and all the projects that the 4-H kids had done. And that was great. But I would have to say that the needlework exhibits, it was disappointing, unfortunately. There were only about 2 6-foot long tables that had a few pieces of needlework on them. It seems like from talking to some of the people there at the fair, the rules for entering really encourage the 4-H kids to enter in a lot of different categories and really participate, which is wonderful. But for the general public, it kind of discourages the way they have the categories set up and the different levels of competition, like 8 different age groups and things like that. It kind of discourages people from entering. And so there weren't really any exhibits, needlework exhibits that weren't from 4-H kids. They just really didn't seem to have many entries at all, which is disappointing. Anybody going to that fair and looking at those exhibits would think that needlework is a dying art, which as cross stitchers, we all know that's not true at all. And it even seems like it's having a resurgence right now. So I hope that in future years, those rules change and that more people will enter, because any exposure that we can get for needlework and cross stitch especially is helpful. Like it brings in new stitchers and it helps people realize what we do and what we're working on. So overall, the fair was a great experience. The needlework part, not so much. So next year, I kind of went looking at the needlework stuff, thinking about whether or not I would enter next year. And if the rules don't change, then I won't be entering. If they do change, I might consider entering some things. But I'll need to look at, the entry rules for some of the surrounding counties. I've been to a neighboring county's fair in the past that's much, much larger. And I'd seen the needlework exhibits when I was there and it was very impressive. But I don't know if you have to be a resident of that county to enter. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research and see, if there are any fairs around that I could enter. Because I think it's important to take the needlework that we're doing and get it out there so that people in the public see it. Not necessarily because I want to, win ribbons or something like that. It's just, I think that if every one of us who does a cross stitch displayed even one piece at our local fairs, so many more people would see how popular cross stitch is and not think that it's a dying art. So anyway, that was the county fair. After that, my older daughter had a few days at Lacrosse Camp, and I also had one of her friends here. So that was just kind of a crazy week with to and from camp every day and having a friend around and just, trying to go and do some activities with them and keep them entertained for the week. And then the following week is when we went to Virginia Beach for our beach vacation. Last year when we went, it rained almost every day. So we did all the things, the aquarium, the mini golfing, the go-karting, the indoor playground, the arcade, all the stuff, because we couldn't really just go sit at the beach. We spent, I think, 2 half days at the beach, and it was chilly and rainy and just not really great. So this year we lucked out and we had beautiful weather. My kids are old enough that, you know, they play together. If they're in the ocean, in the water, I'm really watching them. They spend a lot of time building sandcastles right in front of me. So when they were doing that, I would just pull out a little bit of stitching and put a few stitches in, and that was great because I just got a few minutes to relax on the beach listening to the waves, which I needed. So we just did the beach and the pool this time, and that was pretty much it. We really didn't do a whole lot of else because we hadn't been on a beach in 2 years since we had missed the previous year having such a rainy time. So that was really nice. The one fun thing that we did go do was an escape room, which we had not done as a family before, but it was a lot of fun. I forget the exact name of it, but it was in the town center area. And for an hour, you and your family go into this room. The one we did was an explorer theme. So we were trying to find a hidden treasure, and there's just a bunch of clues and puzzles that you have to solve, and you're trying to solve them all so that you can get this door, this locked door, to unlock, and you can go out through that door. So it's a race against time, 60 minutes to find all the clues and solve them and get this door unlocked. So the kids really loved it. And it was a good time, a fun thing to go and do as a family. That was something different we hadn't done before. So while I was in Virginia Beach, we had World Cross Stitch Day on Friday. And my kids, by that point, we had been there for several days, and they were tired and they just wanted to kind of chill out in the room for the afternoon. They were exhausted from so many days at the pool and the beach. And my husband was happy to just hang out there too. And I just kind of looked around the room and I said, so is it okay if I sneak out to do a little shopping? And of course, everybody's like, oh, shopping, where are you going? What store? And I'm like, a cross stitch store. And they were like, oh yeah, you go have fun by yourself. We don't want to go to that. So I got to go I had about 45 minutes to an hour in Dying to Stitch in Virginia Beach by myself. It was awesome. It was great. It was overwhelming because I wasn't really expecting to get the chance to go. And so I wasn't super prepared. And I didn't buy any patterns because there were so many there. And I'm also feeling super overwhelmed by the number of things I already have that I want to stitch. But I have a list that's been in my purse for a while because I have known that I need to get to a store to look at some floss in person. I wanted to pick out some colors for a project, and I can't do it online. I'm trying to I need to see all the colors together in real life because the pictures on my computer screen I just feel like aren't super accurate. And I didn't want to buy a whole bunch of extra colors online to try and guess and get the right things. So I knew I needed to get to a store sometime. So I've just kind of kept that list in my purse, and I'm like, at some point, I'll make it to a store in person and I can grab the floss for this. So that's what I did. So the project that I'm working on is from Fleur de Lis. I bought their monthly series. So this is just one that I printed out because I bought the PDFs. This is the October. And what I wanted to do is chart it all in DMC. This month of October is the only one that uses a variegated thread for the grass. All the other months you have a big patch of grass like this, but they use DMC for it. So I knew I wanted to get several shades of green so I could substitute that. Every month has a house. I want to floss for that, for the roof. I'm going to do this big squirrel in a variegated. So just some of the elements in each month that are larger, that you would be able to see the variegation show up. I wanted to get some variegated threads. So I don't have the DMCs pulled. I'm going to use some DMCs with these, but these are the variegated ones that I bought. So these are all classic Colorworks. Let me put it against a piece of paper. So these are all classic Colorworks cottons. There we go. That's showing up pretty true to form. I got these lighter shades, the ivory, the blue, the green, and the pink for the houses. And then I got several shades of green because there's trees and grass that I want to do. And then some browns and grayish browns for the roofs and the squirrels, and there's a deer in one of them. So I'm going to be working on those months as I get time. I don't want to start too many new things right now because I'll tell you later how overwhelmed I am with the number of whips I have right now. But I got those, and then I also picked out, I have an heirloom project I want to work on. It's something for my daughters, and I'm not going to go into too much detail on it right here, but because it's an heirloom piece that I want to be around forever and to be passed down, I want to do it on linen in silk. And it's charted up, if I did it on 28/2 or 36/2, it would be massive, it would be huge. And so I want to do it on something smaller. I know I can do 40 count over 2. I've stitched quite a few things on 40 count over 2, but I would like to try getting, I know they make 56 count, and I think they might even have 60 count linens. So I'd like to get some of those. And then I need to find a couple of colors of silk that I like and try them out. I want to make a few smalls. I have a bunch of small patterns that would be perfect for this. They'll be like monochrome things. Oh, there's my cat. This down here is Casey. So she loves to go out on the back porch right there. It's all screened in, and she spends a large portion of her day out there. Probably should have let her out before I started the video, but she can wait a few minutes and go out a little later. She can go take another nap. So back to threads. So I need to find some silks. I want to find the right colors, and I was thinking of stitching a few small projects on different counts of linen with different silks in different shades, just so I can really get a good idea of what combination I want to use before I start this big heirloom project. So I picked up 2 silks. These are Belle Soie from Classic Colorworks. I've got Babbling Brook, which is like a paler blue grays, and Blue Lagoon, which is medium to darker blues. That lighting might be a little better. So I'm going to try those out and see. So I'm just starting to collect the things that I need for that project, and I'll keep you guys updated as that project develops, but right now, not too much. So it was Friday for World Cross Stitch Day, and then on Saturday, I got to go to Flannel Jammy's farm and meet Donna Ray and stitch with the Virginia Stitchers. They're a group on Facebook of women who live in the Virginia Beach and surrounding cities and area. And when I was looking for stitching groups on Facebook, I had come across Virginia Stitchers and requested to join, not really realizing they were in Virginia Beach. But they're a great group of women. I have, done a little bit of chatting with them online. I watched some of their floss tubes. Amy Loves Toads is also a member there, and some others. So when I booked this vacation, I had no idea that World Cross Stitch Day was August 9th. But it just so happened that when Sarah Tatum and Donna Ray posted, we're going to have a get together on Saturday for World Cross Stitch Day to celebrate, I was like, I'm going to actually be in Virginia Beach that day. So I worked it out with my husband. He was happy to watch the kids for a few hours. We try on family vacations that are longer to let each other take a few hours away, because it just kind of gives us each the break that we need. Staying 4 people in one hotel room with sharing one bathroom for a week can get to be a little much. Like everybody benefits from mom and dad each taking a few minutes away. So they dropped me off at Flannel Jamie's farm on Saturday afternoon, and then they picked me back up again afterwards. They went and played at a playground and just spent some time hanging out and kind of relaxing. So that was great. It worked out perfectly. So we had like a potluck lunch at Donna Ray's house, and then we just sat there and stitched. I think there were 11 stitchers there. And if you go on Donna Ray's Instagram page, you can see the photos from that celebration. So it was great. They were all, I'm not going to name all the names because I know I'll forget some people and I don't want to leave people out. They were amazing. They were so welcoming. It was so much fun to sit and stitch with them. I had a great afternoon. We chatted about cross stitch, and I talked about some of the projects that I've been working on, and a few of them had suggestions for some things I could do on some of those for finishing projects and stuff, on questions I had. So it was amazing. It was really great. I had a great time. And then Donna Ray had a little gift bag for everybody. So this right here that I'm going to show you guys is my very first project bag ever. And I mean, there you go. It is just a little vinyl bag, and it's cats wearing glasses. And I love this dude here in the middle with the sunglasses on, just chilling. Oh, these with the big round, little kind of more cat's eye looking ones. I love these. Love this bag. It's perfect. It's super cute. All aquas and blues and purples. So it's totally my colors. And I mean, cats and glasses. Come on. It's great. So I've never bought a project bag. I've just never gotten around to buying one. I just use Ziplocs. So this was exciting. She has 3 freebie patterns in here. So that was really great. Some DMC floss. a highlighter, always use one of those, and then just a ring with thread drops that she made out of scrapbooking paper, cardstock, double-sided scrapbook paper. So this was my favorite little paper, so I put that one on the front to show you guys. But I found out while I was there that Donna Ray actually managed a scrapbooking store in her past lifetime, so, which I did not know. And she showed us one of her scrapbooks, and I mean, just amazing scrapbooking. You know, like I have the most basic layouts compared to what she has, but her book was beautiful. It was just, you know, she had pages with her parents and with her kids and, you know, her bees and everything. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful. So that was a lot of fun. We didn't go outside. It was really hot. And but I did peek at the bees through the window and saw them all flying around out there and all the little hives. They don't call them hives. They have another name. But I don't remember what those houses are. There's a particular type, like style of beehive that she has that they live in. So anyway, it was great. It was just a really, really fun time. So thank you, Donna Ray and all the rest of the Virginia Stitchers for having me and including me in your group that day. I had a wonderful time, and I hope next time I'm back in Virginia Beach, I can join you again. So that is, we got back from Virginia Beach, and this week my kids are at horseback riding camp. They're there all day. They are the most exhausted, tired, grumpy people when they get home in the evening. It's miserable, but today's the last day. We made it through the week. They love it, but they're just so tired when they get home. So they had a great time, and then next Thursday, school starts. So we've just got a little bit of back to school shopping left to do, and we're just gonna have some chill days, try to have, you know, last few times of fun. We have pizza at the pool for dinner tonight, last Friday night before school starts, gotta celebrate that. And, you know, just get ready for school to be going on again. As soon as school starts, I've got a big event coming up. I'm the encampment coordinator for our Girl Scout service unit. So I'm the leader for both of my daughter's troops. And then our service unit is all of the troops that live, you know, go to like this certain cluster of schools in our area, right? So I coordinate our big camp outs along with another woman. And we have one coming up in September where the girls are gonna be able to go canoeing, do archery, zip lining, horseback riding, mountain boarding, all sorts of different hiking opportunities and things like that. So we've got that coming up mid-September. There's gonna be 200 people attending this year. So it's a lot of work to get it done. Registration just ended a couple of days ago. So right now life is kind of consumed with getting everything organized for that. All the scheduling and cabin assignments and all that stuff. We gotta, you know, get all the supplies we need ordered and bought and sorted out and just do all the advanced things, right? It's a big event, and I love it. It's a lot of fun. I have so many great memories of Girl Scout camp, and it taught me a lot of independence when I was a girl. I really want my girls to experience that. So somebody's got to organize those events, right? In order for my girls to go to a big camping event like this, somebody's got to organize it. So I do. And it's a lot of fun, but I'm looking forward to being done because it'll open up a lot of free time. So that'll be more time to stitch. So I think that's kind of my life update. I had one comment that I wanted to mention from T. Conrad. I don't know her first name, I'm sorry. She commented on this cabinet here behind me, this one here. She thought she saw some Hummels in there, and I do have a Hummel collection, and she asked about a tour. So at the end of this video, I'm gonna put in, I recorded a quick tour of my Hummels that I have. So this whole cabinet here in the glass part up top is just filled with all of my Hummels. So if you want to see that, it'll be at the end. Just stay tuned after I sign off here, and I'll put it right afterwards, okay? I have, you guys, 3 FFOs. Can you believe it? I finally FFO'd some stuff. So super excited to show you. This one, right here. This is Jardin Privé Sampler Achat, cat sampler. It's on 28 count Monaco in antique white. I did it 1/1 with DMC. I got this picture frame from Target in the dollar spot. And you can see right here, it was already painted light blue, and it was a spring theme. I think it said something like Happy Easter or something on the back of it, on the blue part of the board, but I just cut a piece of sticky board and mounted my stitching, so you can't even see the words behind it at all. I didn't have to paint it or anything, but the blue went perfectly with the sampler. So there we go. That one's done. It hangs in my daughter's room. So I'll put this stuff over here. And then when we were visiting my parents in Houston in July, she went through her cross stitch while she was there and she found this piece unfinished. It says, "A country cat lives here." It's got some buttons. It was very country. So it's just on, what is this? This is linen, I guess. I don't really see a lot of slubs or anything, but it sure feels like linen. It doesn't seem like even weave. I think it's a natural linen. It was a kit and it came with this hanger, like literally a little metal hanger with a wooden bar that you were supposed to like wrap this over and finish it. And that would have required the sewing machine, number one. And it would have just been, I felt like very 80s, early 90s style. I wanted to still do like something kind of country-ish, but Priscilla-fy it a bit. So I had this blue and white flowered fabric and a navy blue fabric and some ivory pom-poms, put a little bow, stuff like that on it, mounted it on here. It's just on layers of sticky board. I didn't use batting or anything. And this large piece is just a wooden board that you can buy in the wood section at Hobby Lobby. And then the buttons, I'll show you up close the button if I can. The button actually came from my grandmother's collection of buttons. So I brought it up here to show you. When she passed away, I inherited the button jar. So it's pretty big, you know? I mean, it's like the size of my hand on the base and it's about halfway full with buttons. My brother and I would play with this whenever we went to her house when we were growing up. We'd dump all the buttons out, sort through them, sort them by colors, by size, and just look at all of them. It was fun when I got them. I think it might have actually been when they downsized and moved into a nursing care facility that I inherited these. But I dumped them all out and it was fun. My kids love to go through and play buttons, just like go through all the buttons and look at them and sort them just as much as my brother and I did. And it's a good memory to have. So a lot of them are plastic buttons from like the 60s and 70s, 80s. My grandparents were both children during the Depression. They were born 1920, 1921, and they were both children during the Depression. So you didn't, if you had a shirt or an outfit, a dress or something on it that, you were making into rags, you saved all those buttons. You never got rid of them. They're all in here. So like I said, most of them are plastic and not anything special, but I did dump them out on the table this summer. My kids and I went through all of them. I pulled out all of the ones that were special or unique that I really liked. There were quite a few mother of pearl ones in there and things like that. So I really wanted to get those out and separate them so I can use them on some projects. So that button that is on here belonged to my daughter's great grandmother. So I thought that was kind of special. She's got a piece that her grandmother stitched. Her mother finished, and her great grandmother contributed one of the decorations on it. So that's just, a special piece. All right, last FFO. I finished this little shadow box house. All the little compartments. I'll get it up real close for you. Okay, so that is, I'm so happy with this, you guys. I just am really pleased with how it turned out. I got on kind of a finishing kick, as you can see. I hadn't FFO'd anything and I had a big pile, but I just sat down one day, I got all my stuff out, spread it out on the table and figured it out. So these, let me see if I can get one out for you. So what I did was I mounted each piece with a little bit of batting on sticky board. I watched Vanna Pfeiffer, the Twisted Stitchers tutorial. So you can kind of see there how I wrapped it around the sticky board. I used her method to wrap to keep the corners nice and to not have too much bulk up there. And then I bought these little, I think they were 3/4 inch wood cubes at Hobby Lobby. I got a big bag of them. So I just put a tiny dab of hot glue and glued it on there because I felt like the pieces were sitting too far back in, number one. And so they're a little bit recessed, but they're not all the way against the back. And I wanted to be able, I wanted them to be removable, and I don't want to have to like pry them out with a knife or something if I ever wanted them back out, because I kind of feel like this is another piece that I could stitch a few seasonal things to go in sometimes. You know, maybe not have it look exactly like this all the time. Maybe stitch some seasonal things, or maybe I want to change them out. I used to have little miniature objects sitting in there. Maybe I want to switch it back to that sometime. So if I want to, I can. They're removable. I definitely wanted my big printer's tray when I do that to be able to remove, because I really want to be able to switch out some of those pieces for seasonal things. So this method has worked great. A couple of them I need to go back and add a little bit more hot glue. I didn't want to do too much in case this method didn't work. I wanted to be able to get it back apart, but it's looking great. And then I feel like if I tip it forward at all, they're all going to just fall right out. So as I'm dusting around it and stuff, I'm gonna have to be careful. So I have used, for miniature houses, I have some, I think it's called museum wax. Supposedly museums use it. Miniatures use it. It's just a kind of clearish white wax. You take a tiny little ball of it and you use it to adhere, say, a vase of flowers to a table. Or if you have a dining table set up with plates and cups and all that all over it, use a tiny bit of wax to just adhere the plate to the table. And the wax, it doesn't mark anything. It's museum quality, it's acid free, it's safe to use anywhere. And that way, as you know, you're moving by or a little gust of wind comes by, things don't shift. So I think I'm gonna take a little dab of glue and put it on the back of the block and then press it to the back here so that I can still get it out, because I can still get the wax won't hold it super tight, but it'll hold it tight enough that as I'm moving this piece around so that I can dust and things like that, it doesn't, they don't all fall out and get crooked and stuff. It'll keep them in there nice and straight. So love how this turned out, you guys. I'm so happy with that. And it's really making me anxious to start my printer's tray now that I've like figured out some of the technical parts of how to finish it and do it. Now I know, and I have the confidence that I can do that big piece. So I'm really excited to get started on that soon. Okay, so those are my FFOs. Let's move on to Jolly July wrap up, because it's mid-August and I haven't wrapped up Jolly July projects that I did for you yet. So number one is my Christmas house. So I have this house from the thrift store that I'm doing very similar to what I did with that little shadow box house I just showed you. I'm gonna paint this up, and then I am stitching stuff from The Magic of Christmas to Cross Stitch by Veronique Enginger. I am stitching, I started 9 little motifs, and there are 14 compartments, but the pictures that I've seen of printers trays and shadow boxes and stuff that people have done, sometimes there'll be quite a few stitched compartments, but then other compartments, you'll just cover the sticky board in coordinating fabric, or like in different patterns in a couple of the compartments, or you take some of the background stitching fabric and put it down, but then you put some trims like rickrack or lace or something across it to make a little display. I also have some little miniature Christmas decorations. In particular, I'm thinking of a gingerbread house I have that I usually put inside my house at Christmas, but nobody sees it in there. So I thought maybe I would leave some of the compartments open and display like my gingerbread house in one of them and some of the other decorations in some of the other compartments instead of having a stitched piece in every single compartment. So I started 9 so far, and I'll fill those 9 and then see how I feel, if I want to fill the rest with other stuff or if I want to fill it with stitched. So I have 3 done, so I'm going to show you those 3, and I think that you saw those all in my last video. I have this ornament, this little soldier in a stocking, and then this reindeer. And I kind of feel like these were all done during my last video, but I'm not sure. And then this is all I've got. You can't tell what they are, you guys. I have 30 minutes of work. I just said, I'm gonna stitch for 30 minutes just to get it started. So they're all started, but I really haven't worked on that since my last video much. So I'll show you those as I complete them. All right, that was the Christmas house. Next I have, oh, I don't think I told you I was stitching that on. Did I? Did I mention that? I was gonna do that because I'm really, really bad about saying the fabrics and the threads and stuff. And so I'm gonna try and get better about that. So I'm gonna go back. All right, so this was on 32 count antique white Lugana, 1/1 with DMC. Okay, moving on. This is the 12 Days of Christmas by Paulette Stewart, who is the designer for Plum Street Samplers. And this one I am stitching on 32 count platinum Lugana 1/1 with belle soie threads, if I can get a hold of it here. Okay, so I have finished about 4.5 of the days, and I just absolutely love these colors and how it's turning out. It's so pretty. I don't know that I've stitched on this one since I showed it to you in the last video either, but I will be getting back to that shortly. All right, Quaker Ball de Noël by Fleur de Lis. The next one, and that is on 36 count flax, colored Edinburgh linen 1/1 in DMC. So these are the squares that are each get cut apart individually to become, let me get up closer, to become part of the ball. So I have, you can see one box down there at the bottom that I have not filled in. So I have 11 of the boxes completed, one left to fill in the center, and then I have 8 hexagons and 6 octagons to be still stitched for that one. Then I have my candle wraps. I'm gonna wrap these around an LED pillar candle around the outside. So this one is on 27 count natural linen banding, and it's got this pyramid design at the top and bottom. So this pattern is from Antique Pattern Library, and I don't have the exact name of the pattern book that I got it from typed up right here, but I will look that up for you. So that's coming out well. I need to go over, I think, about an inch, 1.5 inches more over here, and then I can start trying to figure out how to get it attached to the candle. So it's getting close to being stitched. And then I forgot to bring my magazine over here, but I went through, for the other one, I have this ivory banding. So I went through all of the just cross stitch ornament issues from the past few, like 4 or 5 years, looking for a pattern that I could use for this ivory banding. And I found one, which is great. But I also found a whole bunch more I have marked that I really, really want to stitch. And I'm just getting so many things to stitch that I want to stitch, and there's not enough time for all of them. So that's contributing to my anxiety and stress over the number of whips that I have, because I have so many other things I want to do too. And it's one thing at a time, just stitch one thing at a time, right? Just one stitch at a time, they'll all get done. I'll get through as many as I can in my lifetime. But I just really want to stitch so many things, and it's hard to prioritize. So it was a lot of fun to look through those. If you haven't done that in a while, I highly recommend doing it because it's a lot of fun, and I felt like it got me in the Christmas spirit a lot too. So this one that I found is, this is the 27 count ivory pyramid banding, and I'm doing it 2/2 with the belle soie. The pattern is called Mistleoe by, I think she's Italian, so I apologize because I'm going to butcher this, Giulia, Punti, Antichi. And it was in the Just Cross Stitch Ornament issue of 2016. So there we go. It's really pretty. And I'm doing it in cranberry and weathered vine belle soie. And it's just a really pretty pattern. I really love this one, how it's coming out. So there's that one. Then my last Jolly July project was those wooden spools that I'm making little bands to go around. So this is 40 count natural linen, and I picked, see me through that, sorry. Okay, here we go, paper, not much better. I picked, this is with DMC, it's similar colors to the Quaker Ball, and I'm doing 5 on natural linen and 5 on ivory linen. So these are all complete, these are ready to go. So got those 5 finished, and then I've also finished 2 of the ones on the ivory linen. So I still need to finish this one, and I still need to finish this one. So these came from, these patterns for all of these came from either Antique Pattern Library or other freebie patterns that I had collected from websites over the years, or out of some of the books that I got at the used book sale that I went to in June. So the cats came from, I think, a free pattern. And then this down here is supposed to be pineapples, a row of pineapples. And I got it out of, it was probably a book from the 80s or 90s, one of the books I got from that used book sale. And I didn't have the exact DMC colors, so I looked at my DMC color chart and picked the 2 closest colors that I had. And I was questioning it before I started stitching, and now that it is stitched up, I was like, no. Maybe back in the 70s, pineapples were bright orange and yellow, but in 2019, my pineapple, I would like to be more of like a golden with some brown. So I'm gonna pull that one out. As soon as I got a few stitches of the yellow in there, I was doubting it during the orange, and a few stitches of the yellow, and I was just like, no, that can't happen. I gotta restart that section. So I'm gonna pull that pineapple out and pick some different colors and go from there. But those don't take much time to stitch up, so I'm really close to being finished. I just have 3 of them, 3 ornaments left to finish, and then I'll get them onto the spools. So next is whips. So as soon as July was over, August 1st, I was like, I want to stitch something that's not Christmas. I love Christmas and I love stitching for Christmas, but I went a whole month without stitching on any of my other whips. So I decided instead, I had told you at the end of the last video, I think, I was going to do a 3-day rotation and just, you know, continue on a 3-day rotation so I could work on all my whips. And I was trying to pick out like 5 whips to work on. I couldn't pick 5. There were so many and I hadn't stitched on any of them in quite a while, and I wanted to stitch on all of them. And so the 3-day thing just wasn't working. So I just kind of dropped that. I was like, I'm just going to stitch on a different project each day. One of my whips that was not Christmas themed, just so I can get my hands back on them since I hadn't touched them in a month. So the first one is Spring Sampler Banner, and I'm going to go ahead and say that Kristen from Sapphire Mountain Handcrafts is my favorite new designer. You'll see why as we go through this video, but this is her Spring Sampler Banner that she designed and released maybe in like June or something. Sorry, I have to keep swiping at the phone, you guys. I can't silence it because my kids are at camp, and if there's an emergency, they've got to be able to call me. So there's all sorts of alerts popping up and stuff. Let's just hope we can get through it without a phone call. It is what it is. Okay, so this is the Spring Sampler pattern, and I am doing a color conversion to shades of blue. So I finished, I did this tree with the green leaves, and then I started the band I did the band below, and I started this band that's up top here. So I got some good progress in on that one when I stitched on it for a day. And then the next one is Autumn from Little House Needleworks. Hold on. So bad about telling you the fabrics, you guys. Forgot one. I'm trying to get better about it, so I'm gonna go back and do it. Okay, so this is on 28 count Whisper Lugana 1/1 with DMC. Okay, Autumn, Little House Needleworks. Here we go. That is on 32 count Platinum Lugana 1/1, and I'm using a belle soie that came with it called Cinnamon Sticks. So that is coming together really well. I got the 2 gates on this side and the tree in, and I started the gate over there. I think I had finished the whole house too. I think I was only partway through the house last time I showed it to you. So that is just coming out really nicely. I like that a lot. I just have the 2 gates and the tree on this side, and then there's one band across the bottom, or it says Autumn and then a band across the bottom. So that's coming along quickly. I really want to get that finished up so I can display it in September. All right, next one is a biggie. Garden Stars. I hadn't touched Garden Stars in a while, so I pulled it out. I think I might have to get up and move back a little bit for you here. Okay, yep, you can't quite get it all in. Oh, there it goes, all in. Okay, this is the status of Garden Stars, you guys. I am so close, and down there in the center bottom, I had a page finish. Yay! So I only have, I believe, 2 pages left to go now. And that final page is a tiny page because I'm on the bottom row, so they're not full length height-wise. And when you get to the last page, it's not a full page width-wise either. So I am so close, you guys. So let me fold it up here and I'll show you closer up of that page that I had been working on. So I'm getting there. I'm so excited about that. So this is the motif I think I was working on last time, and this is the edge of the page right here. So I got got that done. So I'm ready to start up here with the next page. Super exciting. So that heirloom project that I mentioned is going to be huge. I actually have to stitch 2 of them because I want to have one for each of my daughters, and it's big. So my only other big project that I have going on right now is garden stars. I have that app called Time Hop on my phone. If you aren't familiar with it, it shows you your pictures from that day going back in history. So it shows you your pictures from that day last year, and 2 years ago, and 3 years ago, and 4 years ago, all the way back, as many pictures as you have digital saved. It shows you all those pictures, and you can just click through the app and see. So I got it because I wanted to see my kids, because you can see, you know, especially this time of year, I'll see like all the first day of school pictures are going to start popping up here pretty soon, and I'll be like, oh, there's my baby girl on her first day of kindergarten, you know, and there she is for first grade and second grade and third grade and all that. So it's a great way to see back in history. About 2 weeks ago, this popped up, garden stars popped up, and I had this big guy done, and I think this green one and this little one here, something like that. It wasn't, so that was 11 years ago that I had a picture of it that just had this top corner in it. So I definitely started this 11 or 12 years ago. And it's just time for it to be done. I'm so close, and I really want to finish this off because I'm afraid if I start the other 2 big projects for my daughters, that this is just going to get by the wayside and it's not going to get finished. And I'm so close now, so close. 2 pages, you guys, I just got to do it. So I'm getting motivated on that one. And then next up we have Quakers in France by Tempting Tangles. So this is a mystery stitch along, and I feel like it needs a piece of paper behind it. It's a little see-through there. So this is the current status of it. I'm stitching this one, 32 count lamb's wool linen, 2/2 with DMC. Right now I am working, I'm gonna have to fold it up a bit because it's just too awkward to hold it with one hand. So right now I'm working right down here in this center, getting this filled in. I had used this as my travel project this summer, so I'd kind of been stitching around all over it rather than stitching it in the parts as it's released. So I'm working on getting that finished. And then there's one more, there's a section down here, 2 sections down here. One of them was released while I was on vacation, but 2 sections in this last row that have been released now. And then I think there are just 2 more still left to be released over here, 2 more this side. So it's really coming together. I am just absolutely loving how it is turning out and the color conversion that I'm doing. Just really love it. Love everything about that one. So I'm trying really hard to get that one caught up so that next time she releases a section, I'll be completely caught up. I think that there's not one that's gonna release this week. So next week, next Thursday. So I've got kind of a little less than a week to get all those. I need to get going on it. And then this is not a stitching whip, but it's something I wanted to show you because I thought so many of you have commented on my petite point projects, and I thought you'd be interested in seeing another part of the process. So I have not done much work on silk gauze. I've done a lot of 1/1 just on small, like on high count fabrics, but I haven't done silk gauze very much. So this is the very first piece I stitched on silk gauze. And you might remember, sideways, you might remember having seen it. I actually, I think in video 3, showed you the finished pillow with this. I had stitched, this was the front, and I had stitched the opposite colors where the background is the burgundy and the flower motif is the ivory. I had stitched, you know, the 2 sides and stitched it together. So this was my first attempt at stitching the front side, and it was the pointiest parallelogram you've ever seen in your life. My stitch tension, because it was my first time on silk gauze and I didn't really understand how important the stitch tension was. It was so pointy and crazy. So when I was done stitching it, I was like, forget it. I'm just gonna put this aside and stitch it again, being very careful of my tension, which I did. I stitched both sides. And made it into that pillow that I showed you, I think in video 3. The pillow's a tiny bit wonky, but it's not too bad. It's pretty good. So after that, I had had that bolster pillow that I showed you in my last video that needed to be blocked. So I had come across Frances Peterson, her shop for petite point supplies. It's called Frances Peterson Petite Point. And she sells gauze and all sorts of supplies that you need for doing petite point. So she also, I found a video that she made and posted on YouTube, how to block a miniature rug. So it's, you know, much larger piece than this. It's probably like a 6" by 8" or 8 by 10" rug that she's blocking. But I used her method to block that bolster pillow, and it worked. It was great. So I was like, all right, I understand the technique now. Let me see if I can rescue this horrible parallelogram and get it back to a square. So, I mean, it's only like 1.2 by 1.2 inches. It's not a large rug, but it's still the same concept. So what you do is take 2 pieces of foam core board and glue them together. And then I've pinned a piece of graph paper to it. So you take a black Sharpie, you can kind of see my black Sharpie lines, a fine, ultra fine point black Sharpie, and draw an exact square of the exact size of your finished piece. So you can see the black lines further out here. I actually just used the same piece of paper as what I blocked that bolster pillow on, which was larger than this, and you can see the holes from the tacks for that too. So then you tack down your silk gauze, which is, you know, you can see the edges of it sticking here. You use these flathead gold tacks to tack down as best as you can get it lined up on those Sharpie lines. And then you take your iron and you steam it. And then you let it dry for a few days, and then you stretch it. You pull the gauze so that it lines up better, because it'll still be wonky and wavy and not quite square. So you pull it and you put more tacks in, and then you steam it again, and then you stretch the gauze again and you put more tacks in and you steam it again. So her video was great. This one I've only, because we went out of town, it's still, you can see it's still wonky in the corners. It definitely still needs to be blocked a few more times. So I'm gonna get back on that now that we're back from vacation, and, you know, block it once a day and just get back on it until I, you know, get it. I'll see how close I can get it. And if I can get it back to something that's square enough that I can make it into something, then I will make it into something. Maybe I'll, you know, stitch another piece to make a backing for it, or find some fabric I can use as a backing and make this into a little cushion or something. I don't know. But this was more of an experiment to see if I can rescue a piece that's super wonky and get it back to straight, and just practice my technique of blocking so I can get better at it. So that's where that one is. All right. So I said Sapphire Mountain Handcrafts, Kristen, is one of my favorite new designers. She released on Instagram, and our Instagram account is Sapphire MT Handcrafts, if you want to go check it out. She has that lemonade pattern. It's a freebie that she posted up on Instagram for everybody, and I'm sure so many people are stitching it. You've probably seen it. I can't imagine that there's people out there. It's everywhere right now. It is exploded. It's awesome. Congratulations, Kristen. It is a super cute design, and I think it's really gotten her name out. I've really liked a lot of the patterns that she has posted, and she's an Etsy shop as well, and I've loved a lot of her patterns. I've bought several of them. I'm anxiously awaiting a few more, but this lemonade one, oh my gosh, it's so cute, you guys. So of course, I'm not just stitching it exactly how she had it. I am doing it, here's a piece of paper, miniature 40 count natural linen over 1. And it is just the cutest thing I have ever stitched in my life. I love it. The colors are so bright, so amazing. It is just the most adorable little thing, you guys. I love it. So that's gonna be fresh squeezed lemonade, sweet and delicious is what it says. And it has a little lemon wedge and some borders. And I just love it. If you love it too, go to her Instagram. She's got the pattern there. You can just screenshot it and print it out. So I'm working on that, and it's awesome. Love it. All right, the other thing from her that she's doing, I'm trying to get that Garden Stars caught up. Oh, sorry, not Garden Stars, the Quakers in France stitch along that I'm doing caught up. It's almost over. Like I said, it's only got 2 pieces left. It ends, I think, either the middle or end of September. It's gonna be done by then. And I want that done. because I don't want to have 2 stitch alongs going on for any longer than I have to. Kristen from Sapphire Mountain Handcrafts is having stitching book club. So the idea is you read a classic book and stitch a pattern that she's designing for that book at the same time. So it's going to be a mystery stitch along. She'll release it in parts, and you'll have like assigned reading sections of the book to go along with the section that you're stitching. And the first book is Pride and Prejudice, my favorite book ever, ever, ever. And it's going to be a traditional style sampler, my favorite thing to stitch. And you know, I'm already doing her spring sampler banner, and you guys, so excited about this. So if you are interested in Stitching Book Club, you can also go to Instagram. She just, I think yesterday, set up a separate page for it because there's so many people interested in it. And so she set up, I believe it is Stitching Book Club is the name of the account. So you can go there, or if that doesn't pop up, go to Sapphire MT Handcrafts, and she's got a bunch of posts there where it announces that and links it over and stuff. So you can follow that account. I think Sunday, August 18th is when the pattern goes on sale, and she's going to email out all the like what fabric and floss and stitch size and all of that stuff. So I cannot wait to get my supplies together, and then reading and stitching starts September 8th. So that, if I am starting that one, I want to get that Quakers in France finished up as close as I can to when the patterns are released, so that I don't have these 2 sales going on, because I mean, guys should see this pile of whips on the table. It's like a foot tall, and it's stressing me out. I have so many things I want to start, but I have all these things that I want finished as well, and there's just not enough stitching time. So like I said, that 3-day rotation was not working for me. So we'll kind of move into plans right now. It just wasn't working. It was too hard for me to pick. If I work on all my whips in a 3-day rotation, it'll be forever before I work on some of them. It'll be months before I get to them in between times working on them, and I'm not going to see any finishes. And trying to pick, so I thought, all right, I'll just pick 5 whips and I'll focus on those in a 3-day rotation. But even that, I couldn't pick 5. There were too many that I want to work on and I want done. So I decided that what I'm going to do, I noticed as I'm stitching the lemonade, 1/1 on 40 count, it does strain my eyes doing petite point and doing 1/1 on these really small counts. So I'm going to do, I think Cheryl McKinney, I don't know if she started it. I know she mentions it on her videos, Tranquil Stitcher, the daily 30. So I am going to use that lemonade as my daily 30. And I'm always going to have, when that one's done, I'll start a petite point project for my miniature house. I have several of those I want to do. So for 30 minutes a day, I'll work on that. And I'll try and do it earlier in the day when my eyes are fresh, before they get tired. And then the rest of the day, I will work on something, and I will just pick one focus project and work on that till it's done. So right now, my focus project is going to be the Quakers in France to get it. I've got a little bit of that center section left to go, and then 2 sections on the bottom row. Get that done and caught up before the next section comes out next Thursday. When that one comes out, I'll get it caught up. And then I'll pick a second focus project. And I think my second, when Quakers in France is caught up, I think my next focus project will be Autumn from Little House Needleworks, because I really want to get that on display this autumn. And I'd like to put it up in September, because, you know, kids are going back to school tomorrow. It starts, even though it's still hot and feels like summer outside, it also feels like fall because they're back in school and school started. So I want to get that done, and I don't have much to go. And then once I'm finished with that one, I'll pick another focus project. And I think I might pick one of my Christmas projects so that I can start getting some of those done. But I might pick something else too. On September 8th, no matter what I'm doing, I will start stitching on the Pride and Prejudice project, and I will probably stitch that one solely and make that my focus project until it's done, and then I'll pick back up with, you know, whatever I want my next focus project to be. So I think that'll keep some variety going, because I'll always have 2 projects that I'm working on, but it'll also let me get the whips that I have finished. And once I get enough of them finished, I'm not going to put enough of it on it. I'm just going to say finishing enough whips that I don't feel this anxiety and this stress of having so many whips, then I'll do some new starts, because I do have a lot of things that I want to start that are new. But I loved Jolly July, and I loved starting all those things and that they're started and they're ready to go. But I think it's also causing me some anxiety. I'm not a one whip, one project at a time person, but I'm also not my stack of whips is a foot tall person either. I'm somewhere a happy medium in the middle. Probably, I think around 5 whips is probably a good number for me. So I need to get it down lower. I'll know the number when my anxiety goes away and gets better. So that's my plan. If you're not interested in the Hummel collection, that is totally fine. You can peace out now. It was great to have you. Thanks for watching. Please leave me a comment. I would love to have a chat with you about whatever, any comments or thoughts you have about my stitching. Oh, I wanted to say, I should have put this at the beginning and I forgot. If you are watching and you're a Flosstuber, please leave a comment and let me know what your Flosstube is. Sometimes I can tell from people who are subscribed if they have a Flosstube channel or not. Sometimes I can't tell if, I don't know, I'm not that YouTube savvy. But if you have a Flosstube, I'd love to watch you back so that I can see the things you stitch on and get to know you more personally as well. So please, if you're a Flosstuber, just leave a comment and let me know what your Flosstube channel is. Other than that, happy stitching. I'm gonna insert my Hummel video right after this. Happy stitching, friends. I'll see you next time. Bye. Just kidding, I actually have an extra segment. Sorry, I totally forgot to do my Flosstube shout out and a stitchy gift I got and that kind of thing. I showed you my haul and stuff like as I was talking about what had been happening and like the shopping I did and stuff. But I wanted to shout out the Sunshine Stitchers. There are 3 of them, Gary, Giulia, and EJ, and they are hilarious. You guys, it's definitely the funniest Flosstube channel that I watch, by far. So they are 3 friends. I believe they all met at their local needlework shop, the Cross Stitch Cupboard in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But their friendship, like you feel like you're in on all their inside jokes, you know? And it's just, they all have different stitching styles. They all have a different amount of experience, and it's so much fun to watch their interactions on camera. So the funny story with them is I was watching a few weeks ago, I think it was maybe 3 videos ago. I was watching on my computer, sitting on my sofa, I had my earphones in and my kids were playing in the room and I'm just watching. And I kept laughing and they kept looking over at me like, why is mommy laughing at the computer? And at one point, guys, I was laughing so hard that tears were just streaming down my face. It was hilarious. My kids are looking at me like I'm crazy. They're like, why are you crying? What's wrong? Like, these people are so funny. So they come over and they look at the screen. And of course, I have the earphones in, so they can't hear anything. They're just watching 3 people talk and they look at me and they look at the screen and they're like, so those people are funny? Okay. So after that, whenever they see them on the screen, or if I'm watching something on my computer with the earphones in and I start laughing, they'd be like, oh, are you watching those funny people again? They see them on the screen. Oh, look, it's the funny people. So they're not called the Sunshine Stitchers in our house. They're called the funny people. So they are just hilarious, and you should totally check them out if you haven't come across them yet. But back in June for Flag Day, they did a Flag Day giveaway sponsored by Sassy Jack Stitchery in North Carolina. So they gave away $14 vouchers, because Flag Day is on June 14th, to Sassy Jacks. And I was one of the winners. So my stuff came. I did order 2 patterns, but one of them they didn't have in stock. So I'm still waiting to see if they can get that or whatever. But one pattern I got is from Summer House Stitchworks. It's called Fragments in Time 2018. This is number 1. So it's just a little small that I'm going to stitch up. I really like that. I thought that was really pretty, and I want to do it in patriotic colors. I think what looks blue on here is more of like a blue-green color. I want to change the colors up a little bit and make it a little bit more patriotic themed. And then I also saw this on their website. So it is stitch band. I'm not sure what the count is. I think it's set online, but it does not stay on here. So the tag, it's 24 inches long, and the tag just says banding for Mary Poppins. My daughters love Mary Poppins, so I'm gonna have to go see what that pattern is, what Mary Poppins goes on this, but I got it because it's a band and it's natural color with this blue edging on it, and I'm like, I gotta have that. That looks really cool. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it yet. I don't know what I'm stitching on here. I don't know what I'm putting it around, or I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing with this, but I'm doing something with this. So that was my other stitchy gift Flosstube shout out. Now I'm actually going to insert the Hummel tour and then we'll be done. Have a great day. Bye. So this is the cabinet I keep my Hummel collection in. It is here on a wall between my eating area on the left and my family room on the right. So let me take you in closer and open up those doors so you can see some of the Hummels that I have. So here's the collection with the doors opened up. I'm having a little bit of trouble with the lighting today because it's so overcast and the cabinet is so dark. So I'm doing my best, bear with me. Most of my Hummels came from my grandmother. She had a huge collection, and when she passed away, my dad and his sister split her collection in half. They each have half of it. My parents kept a few that they display, and they passed on the rest to me because they knew I liked them, and I have them displayed here in this cabinet. So I also have a few that I collected myself to commemorate some big events in my life, so I'll point those out as we go through. I have a few from my best friend's mom who passed away that I inherited from her, and I also have two from my Aunt Irma, who is my great-grandmother's sister. So I'll point those out too as we go along. So let's come in closer to the top shelf here. I'm not going to point out all of them to you or tell you all the names or anything. If you see something you want to know more about, let me know. This one here, I'm going to try and point. This one here with a little girl looking up holding flowers was my very first one that I collected. And in the back, where's my finger? I'm trying to point you guys, sorry. Okay, this is not the easiest thing to do. This little book back here is to commemorate, you can see there's a bride and the groom on one side, and then it was hand painted by someone that my aunt knows to commemorate my wedding. And then the middle row here, we have quite a few. So this big bride and groom, let me get out of the light so you can see a little better. Sorry, I'm getting kind of a big shadow. This bride and groom here was my wedding cake topper. And then this over here, the little baby in a cradle with the two kids looking on, my parents gave me as a gift to commemorate my first daughter's birth. And then this one here, these two little girls, is called Daddy's Girls. And so my parents gave me that one to commemorate the birth of my second daughter, since I now had two little girls. And then here in the front, the little girl on the rocking horse, my parents gave me to commemorate when I graduated with my master's degree. And the little girl back here on the bench knitting, I love her. My grandmother knit, and it's the same grandmother that these Hummels came from. She was a knitter, and she knit a whole bunch of outfits for me. She also did smocking and made a bunch of dresses for myself and my cousin. So that reminds me of her. I like that one because it reminds me of her. The bottom row, this clock here, which I need to replace the batteries yet again. The clock is a gift. It was a gift from my grandmother and grandfather when I bought my first house. That was their housewarming gift to me. Some of these ones in the trees back here were the ones that I received from my best friend's mother. This one here, let me get down a little further, sorry. This little boy with the bunnies right here was one of the ones from my Aunt Irma, my great-grandmother's sister, and so is this little shepherd boy in the back holding the sheep here, this one. So this little girl right here in the front, watering the flower with a watering can, that was my grandmother's very first Hummel that she collected. So that one's special to me. And then Checkpoint Charlie back here. He's got the checkpoint and the Jeep and Checkpoint Charlie. My grandfather fought in World War II, and he went for years and years to reunions with his battalion, you know, I think fighting in the war, shaped a big part of who he was. I went to some of those battalion reunions with him, and that one reminds me of him. So I have the little girl sitting and knitting that reminds me of my grandmother, and Checkpoint Charlie that reminds me of my grandfather. So I'll back up here so you can get one last view before we end this. But that's my Hummel collection. I hope you enjoyed this little tour.